Hello and welcome to The German Guy Reviews. I'm The German Guy. We haven't talked at all about German television at this point, haven't we? Well, let me introduce you to one of the greatest that I have ever seen. Meet Shorty, crime scene cleaner. His job begins where others won't dare to go. Whenever there's a murder or an accident with deadly consequences, he cleans up the mess afterwards. Now, you're probably asking yourself, how can a show about someone who is present when the action already took place possibly be entertaining? Well, if you would shut up for 5 minutes, I could explain. Very rude. The show, in the broadest sense, is about the question, what is left when a person has passed away? What are the holes and how can you fill them? And it deals with these questions in a funny, intelligent and subtle philosophical way. And when I say subtle, I mean that it is as subtle as the Matrix series that knocks you over the head with Philosophy 101 every 5 minutes. In every episode, our hero Shorty meets all kinds of different people from every walk of life. And being the talkative type, he learns all kinds of things about the people he meets and himself. And if I said anything more, that would just spoil too much. So here are the top 10 best crime scene cleaner episodes. Number 10. A Very Normal Job. It may appear a little bit lazy to pick the very first episode as your top 10, but hear me out. This very first episode is the perfect introduction to the character and the show as a whole. While cleaning up an apartment, we meet Shorty, who has been in his line of work for a long time now and is pretty much used to seeing all kinds of messed up shit. And it also delivers right from the start one of the best scenes of the whole show. While Shorty is cleaning up the blood of a murder, the police officers return to the crime scene because they forgot to take some evidence with them. This series is completely self-aware. It's basically telling you, we are just a cleanup crew. If you want to see action-packed crime drama, you gotta follow those two. It's like a completely different show came in the room for a quick moment, waved at everybody and then left. Just awesome. And the best part, sometimes the dead bodies are not even recognized. Shorty will come into a room that is completely splattered with blood and guts everywhere, and you thinking, holy fuck, what happened here? But it's never ever talked about. And exactly this little importance that it puts on the bodies feels perfectly right for this show, because all it really is a plot device. The real core of the show lies with Shorty and his personal experience. Anyway, in the rest of the episode, a prostitute rings the doorbell because the murdered man was one of her customers. Shorty, being a very lonely man, pays her for her services, but instead of having sex, they start to talk about their feelings. And that is why I think my father never loved me. Thank you, that was the hottest thing that I ever experienced. Number 9. Above the Clouds. Shorty cleans the home of a murdered woman whose husband that killed her with an axe is on the run from the police. But as the saying goes, the criminal always returns to the scene of the crime, and so Shorty gets a surprise visit from him. This episode, unlike most others, is very intense to watch, because you have no idea what the murderer is going to do with him. As the episode goes on, we learn why the man murdered the woman. We learn how year after year, decade after decade, he tried to be the best husband but could never live up to the perfect standards of his wife. One story in particular struck me. The husband tells Shorty about a contest where he gave his all and made second place, something he himself had never expected he could do. But then, when he got home, the first question his wife had was, who was first? Now multiply that by 30 years and more.
They're like, there is no reason to hit a woman. There is no reason to hit a woman. And I was just like, really? I could give you like 17 right off the top of my head. You could wake me from a drunken stupor, I could still give you like 9.
The episode does a brilliant job making us like this person, putting the victim-perpetrator dichotomy on its head. By the end of it, the man tells Shorty how now that he is free, he will go on vacation, see the world, and you are actually agreeing with him, thinking that he actually deserves this. But then, of course, reality sets in, and by the sound of the police sirens, you are reminded, no, this is a murderer. This guy is wrong. Number 8. The Curse. This is a very bizarre episode, which, like this, doesn't appear again in the whole show. This episode feels more like as if it was more fitting for the Twilight Zone or Love, Death and Robots. Our dear cleaning man arrives at a castle that is cursed. For whatever reason, every man in the castle must speak in rhymes until the last drop of blood from the old master is washed away. If even a single sentence is spoken without a rhyme, then the person is put back outside the entrance and the whole day starts all over again. Groundhog Day, the dark reboot. At his side is the butler of the castle, with which Shorty must keep up the conversation, but he fails numerous times because he's a very bad poet. There's also this poor unlucky postman who stuttered, so the situation is kinda serious. This one is more on the comedic side of things. There's no hidden message here, just a fun, very strange episode. It feels a bit like one of those Christmas stories where everybody's rhyming throughout the entire tale with no reason. Number 7. Are you sure? Oh, this one is special. We all had shitty bosses, teachers or other authority figures in our lives. People who are completely arrogant assheads, whom if you had met them in any other place, in any other situation, you had punched them straight to the moon. No? Through the moon. But because they hold power over you, you can't do anything. The episode starts with Shorty having to go to the office of a large company. The case Shorty has to deal with today is about a man who killed himself, bleeding all over the desk. But the desk doesn't belong to the victim, but to the cause of the man's death. A fucking piece of shit boss who through psychological manipulation tortures his employees. He first tells them how they are valued members to the working family. But whenever it suits him, he tells them their job is just barely hanging on a thread. Being a complete walking toilet of a person, he also begins to play mind games with our good-natured Shorty, saying he will write a report card that may not turn out so well. And when his boss sees it, who knows what's going to happen? Seize the means of production, brothers and sisters. Then treating him like his slave, controlling every single movement of his by scaring him ever further. But then the moment comes when Shorty turns the tables, and that moment is so infinitely satisfying. If you see it, you know how the French revolutionaries must have felt like when they finally chopped off the heads of all those fucking aristo shits. By the way, this guy raised the price of insulin by 5,000%. Just throwing this out there.
By the way, what is a man? Don't ask me what a man is. Don't ask me my advice. I've no idea what a man is. All I have heard is twice.
Number 6. Carpe Diem. In this episode, a dead body is found inside the unemployment agency, which has been there for several days, and no one noticed until the smell became too unbearable. This alone was reason enough to put it on the list. Whoever had to deal with this abysmal monster of a bureaucracy knows that this is way more friendly than they actually deserve. For the rest of the episode, Shorty, who is kind of like JD from Scrubs, gets a visit from the man who died and has to come to terms with his own mortality. Number 5. That's what you need to expect. At the Media Markt, the shop for all things electronic, we meet a prepper conspiracy theorist who tells us about all kinds of scenarios how the world could collapse. Floods, food shortages, failing markets, and so forth. But instead of talking about these ideas, this episode dwells more on why a person would come to believe this. Why he would believe the world is ending. Or rather, why someone subconsciously wants the world to end. It is revealed that this shop employee has good reasons to feel alienated from the system. He makes just enough money not to be homeless and or starving. The man then asks Shorty and the audience, what is he supposed to believe, given these realities? And yes, a lot of people hate to admit this, especially journalists, but conspiracy theorists do have a point. I mean, don't we all have that at some point, looking at the world and asking ourselves, what is really going on here? Number 5. A matter of taste. A psychologist got stabbed countless of times by one of his patients.
Carl, that kills people!
Wow, I didn't know that.
Shorty once again sees the ghost of the deceased, who really gets into his head. Later, another person, a woman who had confidence issues, is being talked down to by Shorty. And you don't have to have a degree in psychology to notice that Shorty isn't actually attacking the woman, but just using her as a projection for his own inner sadness. His failed relationship with his girlfriend, his job that is messing him up after all, and the refusal to accept that he is not actually happy, even if he likes to tell himself that. So then the ghost of the psychiatrist and the woman that has learned a thing or two from her mentor try to help him, but sadly, Shorty's mental health is far worse than anybody could have ever imagined. Number 3. Currysausage. There's an artist in a museum who uses real money for all of his projects. When a piece of it goes missing, Shorty remembers that he found a bit of money on the floor, which he spent on a currysausage earlier. The museum director points out to him that he could be forced by the law to pay thousands of euros for the restoration of a highly valuable art collection piece. The lady in charge of the museum eventually fakes what is missing with one of her own money bills. The woman, who works at a fast food joint, manages to get the banknote back, but Shorty very impolitely tells her off, so to hide the fact that this ever happened. As the episode establishes in a quite in-your-face manner, the subject is value. Is a piece of art that has been made with literally hundreds of thousands of bucks truly valuable? More valuable than what it was before? Is a dress like the one that the museum director wears valuable? Well, she paid a huge load of cash for it, but it's highly impractical and is easily destroyed, hence why she is later forced to use curtains as a replacement. Or is maybe a simple curry sausage the most valuable thing in the story? After all, you can actually eat it. For it is food that the universe was created for. My stomach has spoken. Or is it the ancient classic love? That is, the love Shorty has thrown away because he didn't want to lose money on art pieces that are made from money. So I ask you, dear viewer, who is the tool now? Wow, that was actually a clever line. Number 2. The head. A person that has been in a coma for several years now after having hurt his head is left alone with Shorty when his nurse has to go somewhere. But Shorty, ever the clumsy idiot, hurts himself too and ends up inside the head of the patient.
In other words, Psychonauts!
And we witness how after all these years his mind and soul still try to fight against death, trying to repair enough of the damage so that he can have a feeling in his eye. I feel that I should be more thankful for the things I have, more often. They raised my phone bill again? Life fucking sucks. This episode is also very pro-life, and I like that a lot. Oh great, here we go. But seriously though, it deals with the question of what is a person and what is the value of that person. Is a life spent inside a dream world worth living? And this episode would like to say that yes it is. It would like to say that wherever there's life and a will for it, then that is a fight worth having. The episode ends with Shorty finding and then hiding the paper that tells the patient's family to pull the plug should he ever be in a situation like this. Oh god, I need to get away from this episode before I have to give my nuanced opinions about these subjects. And the internet hates nuance! And without any further distractions, the best crime scene cleaner episode. 31. I started this list with the first episode and I end with the last. What a quinkydink! This final episode does everything right. Every character we met throughout the 7 seasons and 31 episodes makes an appearance. This last time, Shorty has to clean up the 31st floor of a building. However, the elevator doesn't take him and there are no stairs. Whoop whoop! Obvious metaphor alert! Whoop whoop! He waits and waits until he suddenly sees his ex-girlfriend walking by. The one he was never able to overcome. The one who had been the cause of several of his rants throughout the series, and which he wanted to get back together with since forever. He catches up to her in the basement, where she has a speech prepared for him. But the people who were paying attention realized that this wasn't just a speech, but a eulogy to him and the show. Some people chase him who are trying to kill him, but he flees to the elevator. But it only goes down to his and the series' grave. Throughout the episode, we are reminded in an excellent and emotional way of the central themes of the show and the essence of Shorty's character. This final episode is very obvious. It's telling us the message right into our faces. Don't wait to do something important until it's too late. Take care about the people who take care about you. Life is very precious, and Shorty sadly was someone who waited, which he shouldn't have done. As we find out in his ex-girlfriend's speech, she too wanted nothing more than to be together with him again. But she also waited and was scared to make the first step. Until it was too late. Life can be over at any moment, so worrying all the time is a complete waste. Stop worrying and start to live. Be good to one another. The German guy out and auf Wiedersehen.